Welcome to the first ever Coding with Girls. Hi, I'm hanalinatsw and I'll be going through this course, Coding with Girls, with you. The course is based on the fundamentals of coding, and our primary aim is to enlighten girls on the excitement of coding. We will be going through the core concepts that are essential for every coder to master so that they can develop their skill and begin their journey. So please hop along as we begin our adventure. Today we will be discussing some of the key terms in coding, that is data types, selection, and iteration. So here are the five main data types. Our first one is integers. Integers, just like integers in math, are whole numbers. They can be both positive or negative. And as the example on the slide, we have 1, 54, and 892. It could be as long as you want, technically, without having to go into the nuances of memory management. Um, but also we have next we have floats or doubles. Floats and doubles are just numbers with a decimal point. In the coding language we're going to be going through in this course, which is Python, floats are what they call them, but if you go into like C++ or other coding languages, they're sometimes known as doubles. It just depends. And like I showed here, it says 1.8, 0.927, 792.2. Like it could again be different, any length the decimal point could be at. It's just any number with a decimal point, and again can be both positive and negative. Now we have strings. Some people find this to be the hardest to wrap their mind around, but it is quite simple. It's just knowing that anything can be a string. But strings are words or sentences that include the symbols and the numbers. They are more formally defined as a combination of characters, but they're really just anything between the double quotes. As I showed in the example, hello world, we have that explanation point. That explanation point is part of the string. Okay, and then we also could have the number like 792.2. As long as that was in double quotes, that would be a string. If we had 54, that in double quotes, that would be a string. It's just anything between those double quotes, including the space. Then we have characters. Characters are any like a letter or a single digit or a symbol. So as the example here says, the letter A, the number 4, the digit 4, and then we have the ampersand. All of these are characters. It's just one and they're within single quotes. In some coding languages, you will find that strings and characters are kind of meshed together and that the single quotes and double quotes can be used interchangeably. But as common practice, we do use strings with double quotes and characters as single quotes because in most coding languages, it does matter. It's just some of those very higher level languages don't really need them, like Python. Like they could be interchangeable, but yeah. The last is one of the most essential ones to learn, but it's also one of the simplest ones to learn. We have Boolean. Boolean is just true or false. It can only be true or false. So let's say we wanted to say door, we could say door open would be the variable, and we could say true or false, because if the door was open, it would be true, and if the door was closed, it would be false. But it's just that true or false. Now we have selection. Okay, so selection is just like a question so the computer can make a decision. So here we have a little flowchart that I'll go through, but it's just we have like if, else if, or else. So I'm gonna walk through this flowchart, but I'll use an example for it. So let's say we're using a four-sided dice that is like a triangular pyramid, like triangular based pyramid. So the sides be 0, 1, 2, and 3. So that's 4. Yeah, sides. So first thing we say, if side equals 0. So if it equals 0, we want the process, which is here the yes, we want that to, let's say, add 0 points. So, but let's say we roll the 1. So then we'll go no. Then we ask else if side equals 1. And then if it's yes, then we want to add 1 point. Then we can do another else if, that because you can have a technically infinite amount of else ifs. You could just have as many else ifs as you want. You don't just only need one. And this flowchart is just one, so it fits in the box. But it could be multiple. And that else if could be like, let's say else if side equals 2, and then add 2 points. But again, we said this is a 4-sided dice. So we had 0, 1, 2, and now we have 3 is the last one. So if it's not 0, 1, or 2, it must be 3. So then the no, or so then if we go no, it will ask the else. Else is just if it's not any of those, do this. So if it's none of those, it must be 3. So we just add 3 points. And as you can see, the rest have those decision blocks. With the else, it's kind of its own thing because there's no conditional added to the else. It's just else. While with the if and else, if you add the conditional of the question with it. I hope that did not confuse you. But here we have iteration. Just like how selection selects, iteration iterates. It just means it's like a repetition of a process. Like we saw those processes of adding 1 point. It's just repeating that. So these are usually known as loops. And we have 3 types of loops. We have controlled loops, which are also known as like for loops. Preconditioned loops, which are while loops, and postconditioned loops, which are repeat until loops. So for loops just rely on the count. So we could say like for like let's say 10 for I in range 10. So it will just repeat 10 times. While loops are kind of like they have that conditional of like the if statement at the top. So let's say while side does not equal 0. So we use the while loop. So let's until the side equals 0, let's say it adds a point. So it repeats that process of adding a point until the side equals 0, and then it stops completely. Then we have the post condition. So post condition is like a repeat until. This is typically only used in pseudocode, not so much in practice of normal code. But repeat untils just mean it just says repeat, and then in the end we have the conditional, like while side does not equal 0. So it will add that first point in the beginning no matter if it's 0 or not, and then until if it's 0, it will stop. And that's basically it. It's just like it stops after it finishes the process. So it does the process once. But again, this is mainly just used in pseudocode and not in common practice. I hope that all made sense, and thank you for watching, and please subscribe and like and leave a comment if you need any help. Thank you. Please watch the rest of the playlist to carry on with the course.